Today we're going to be reading our mentor text, The Bidet's Revival, and we've already read it through at least once, but this time we're really looking at the research. As we are taking our own notes and we are thinking about how do we pull important quotations out of research and what do we have to say about that and how would that incorporate into our story, I want us to look to this mentor text to see how she did it. So let's scroll through together here. And I also have kind of my little notepad and my notes here that I'll be sharing with you. And I'm just looking for kind of hyperlinks and other information where she's pulling outside. So here is kind of an anecdote. So there's no like research, but she's also kind of making those narrative connections of when she has had this topic come up probably in her day-to-day life. And you should be thinking about that too. As you're a writer, like your topic should also kind of be in the back of your mind. And as you have interactions, as you see something on TV or you scroll in social media or you're standing in line at Safeway and you hear something that might connect to your topic, those are little nuggets that you want to piece away that you could possibly use in your writing. So as we scroll down here, we see kind of one of the first links. Oh, and I should have Control T instead of done that, so I'm going to do that. Remember when you talked about reading laterally? So if you just push your command is on a Mac and then open it up so I can keep my original here. So this is kind of the image that she uses of the washlet, right? So there we go. So she just describes it here. So sometimes if you're using images or describing, you can also kind of write along that. Evidence doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be a written article, right? And we've talked about the different types of evidence that we want, and we want a nice variety. So here she has, right, an example of an actual image that she uses, and you can do that too, be using images as part of your evidence. Okay, we're going to scroll down here, and I'm assuming this is going to be more portraits. And this is about Marie Antoinette, so I'm going to click that there. Yep, this is the portrait. And this one here is going to be, oh, from Marie Antoinette's Darkest Days, and I'm sure they talk about it here. Something that I've told you before, but this Control F is really helpful when you're searching in your research for a specific topic. So here, if she was searching for a bidet, right? We also have it right here. And that will help you with your research because it'll help you really zero in. That's what kind of our inquiry topic is, or inquiry question, and kind of those keywords and phrases as we're researching to really zero in on our research because we've kind of already skimmed it. Now we're looking for those kind of golden nuggets that we want to pull out. So she has that. And what does she say about that, right? It's just kind of little information, more kind of illustration, exemplification of what she's talking about here. All right, then we have her go down. Oh, here we have Norman Hare, birth control pioneer, put it in 1936. So let's see what that one has to say. Oh, okay, so this is from an actual book called The Long Sexual Revolution. So here, we're not going to be able to pull all of the information, but it seems like they talked specifically about kind of those behaviors. I'm just reading what's happening here. So she used this text as one of her researches. Okay. The president of Bidet is regarded as a symbol of sin. And now we have a sociologist, Harvey Moloch. And here we have a New York Times article that she was reading. So I'm going to Control F on this one and put in bidet. Sorry about this. Oh, I don't have access to it, like you may not. I actually can go through the Washington County Library and get access to this, but I'm not going to do this now because we are on a time crunch and I don't want this to be too long. But I will link that if you're not sure how to do that. Okay, so there we have another little point. Here we have the John Harvey Kellogg idea. And this looks like it is... Download PDF, prior art, had to query. Oh, this is an actual patent. So you can click on it and you can see the image. Oh, how interesting, right? So this is really interesting to see research that is not what we would typically think of research, but it makes the article really engaging and really strong to have all of these different types of evidences within it. Okay, let's continue going. I'm assuming this is talking about cornflakes. Yep, right, here we go. And let's see, studies have shown that bidet bathing can also heal rashes. Okay, so I'm assuming this is going to be a more journalistic. Yes, so remember when we talked about peer-reviewed research, and you are required to have one in your essay, but as you can notice, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, out of the 8 that we have here, we don't have very many. We just have one. And so we want to use that balance of research. And this is the study, right, that goes through about how it increases our incidence of hemorrhoids, or doesn't increase, but it decreases, right? And then we have Cohen and his mission. Let's see what this looks like. Behind the Bidet, Miami, New Times, so a news article. And let's see what else. This is a Japanese household, Toto's general manager. Here we have, oh, okay, the Times, US, Europe, consumers in Japan, right? And I could control F here and see where I have the bidet, the washlet, right? So she's pulling out specific examples within this of what he said to add into her essay. And let's see what else she says around this. So here we have the quotation, but then she adds her own ideas. And this is what we're trying to do with our notes. We're trying to take these pieces of research and we're trying to combine them. So we're at that dinner table talking to each other. So she's connecting this idea of what Toto General Manager said to Cohen's CISPADs and how those two things connect together. All right, let's just do a few more here to see. And one thing that you might have noticed as you read this, oh, this is Bob's Burgers, is that I like this essay because it is super informative, right? It's also on a topic that we're not quite familiar with, but also it is written in a very engaging way. Even though the topics, if I made you write something on bidets, you'd be like, oh my gosh, this topic, how am I going to make it interesting? How am I going to connect it to my audience? But she does here, she does it in a way by adding pop culture, right? She does it in a way by making the studies really accessible. And she also does it by using a lot of kind of information that we might know, but maybe not in this way. So she's reminding us or saying like, oh, you might have heard of this. And you're like, oh yeah, I do remember hearing about that. And here's the Google, right, crunch. There we go. Okay, let's do just a couple more here. We have the Dude Wipes, the One Wipe Charlies. Oh, this one, I've clicked on this before. This is the Fatberg that she was talking about. And there's an image of it. Oh, look at that. So that's all those wipes that kind of connect with everything and make, right, everything kind of gross and dirty and so much money to get rid of. Environmental groups are talking about this. We have the Thinks among millennials, all these sorts of things. So let me just click on a few of these as we go through, right? So we have the Thinks panties and the information about that. And yep, here we go. That too, but I thought there was one more in there. Yes, why you should avoid buying wet wipes, right? This environmental. So looking at the research that we have here, I think it's really important for us to be thoughtful about the type of research we are using and how we can talk to it and pull it together. This is our second set of notes. And so in the second set of notes, you've already read quite a bit, and making those connections between these ideas are really your job as a writer, because we can pull all this information, but you are kind of the one synthesizing these together on the right side of the notes. And that's what I'm going to encourage you to do. So use this mentor text and you can go through and see exactly how she's incorporating this and how she's kind of adding her own ideas and her own voice, just like right here. It was messy, private, no, but the selling point, right? But it was actually a hindrance. And then she talks about they were shunned, right? This is her voice saying through all of this research, like, hey, this is what happened and this is my interpretation. And that's what our notes should do. They should add more information to the information that is already out there so that we can have a say on the topic that we are studying and we are sharing with others.